Nigeria's Food and Drug Agency has approved the emergency use of the Oxford Astrazeneca coronavirus vaccine. Well, the agency says its safety committee has evaluated the vaccine safety and efficacy for Nigerians. Arise correspondent Nisi Gabriel reports.
Good news for Nigeria as the Oxford Astrazeneca COVID vaccine has been approved for emergency use in the country. Nigeria's Food and Drug Agency says 4 vaccine candidates are being reviewed.
It is from Serum Institute of India that we got our dossier on February 10, 2021, which was last week. The Nafdac Vaccine Committee commenced the expedited review immediately, and the members of the committee have worked assiduously to ensure that the review was done as planned. The recommendation for emergency use authorization of COVID-19 vaccine from Astrazeneca or through Serum Institute, it is also called Covishield, was based on rigorous scientific considerations.
There are concerns about how well the AstraZeneca vaccine would work in Nigeria after South Africa halted its rollout. Studies show the jab isn't as effective against the variant's dominance in South Africa.
Nigeria has 3 labs that do sequencing to know which variants we have in Nigeria, which ones we don't have. And from the results from the labs, it showed that we don't have the South Africa variant, at least as of last week. But the study that has been done to know the impact of the variant from UK on the vaccine effectiveness showed that it did not affect the effectiveness of AstraZeneca vaccine.
The AstraZeneca vaccine can be stored at normal fridge temperatures, making it easier to distribute in Nigeria than others available. Experts hope the rollout can bring the pandemic under control in Nigeria, reducing cases and saving lives. Nisi Gabriel, Arise News.
Well, let's get more from Professor MOJISOLA ADEYEYE, the Director General of the Nigeria's National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, who you heard from in that report. So, Professor, first let's start with the big news. It's now being approved that AstraZeneca can be bought in Nigeria. When should we be expecting to have this particular vaccine in Nigeria? Is there any understanding of timeline?
Yes, thank you for having me. The COVAX facility is the body or the entity that is going to supply Nigeria with AstraZeneca vaccines. This COVAX facility is made up of 4 organizations, including WHO. So now that we have approved AstraZeneca vaccine for emergency use, I believe that the delivery will be in weeks, between the end of February till maybe middle of March. So that is when I believe we're going to have the first set or the first batch of AstraZeneca vaccines in Nigeria.
Let me ask you, it seems all you needed was just 1 week from the time you obtained the dossier and the time of approval, looking at AstraZeneca and saying it is safe, it is efficacious enough for Nigerians to consume. What exactly did Nafdac rely on to come up with this approval?
That's a very good question. We have 3 mechanisms for approving vaccines for emergency use. We use the reliance mechanism, which is a mechanism that lends itself to expediting the approval if that vaccine has been approved previously by a stringent regulatory country like US, Canada, UK, Japan, and so on. So what we do then is to, first of all, check their report. Even before getting the vaccine for AstraZeneca, we'll be checking the reports of the different agencies for different vaccines. So that gives us an idea of how rigorous they did their assessment. And so we rely on them. That is a global regulatory expectation, that we have to use reliance in order to cut short time for other regulatory agencies to take some decisions. We also depend on recognition. If a country is known to have pre-qualified laboratories for manufacturing of vaccine, we can recognize that and also expedite, but the level of expediting may be a little different. The reliance is much shorter, which is what we use for AstraZeneca. If neither of the two is there, meaning we have to give a full review, it may take 30 days, 30 working days, depending on how responsive the manufacturer or the market authorization holder is. If we send a feedback for them to address, if they send the feedback quickly, yes, it will take relatively shorter time, but if not, it may take up to 6 months. That is for full review for vaccines that have never been reviewed by other regulatory, stronger regulatory agencies. Thank you.
For that answer, but it looks like you have depended extensively on the review and the processes that must have taken place from America, Canada, and other countries that have approved AstraZeneca. Now, when you look at the fact that the nature and the being of Nigerians most likely will be different from majority of the people that would have been tested on in other parts of the world, did you take that into consideration? And do we have any other vaccine that might be in the process of being approved by Nafdac?
That's a very good question. Most of the phase 3 clinical trials that have been done for the approved vaccines were done in Caucasian population. But that doesn't limit us from going through the mechanism or using the mechanism that we have used, which is reliance. But because of that, we have laid a lot of emphasis on active pharmacovigilance or active monitoring of the safety of the vaccine after vaccination. You have to monitor the individuals that are vaccinated for up to 1 year. We have taken this very seriously. Nafdac is the Center for Pharmacovigilance in Nigeria. So we are working with Primary Health, NCDC. They're going to, we're going to share information, and it will go into a central clearing house where we will know, let's say, how many people had rash, how many people had fever, how many people had soreness at the site of injection, adverse events or serious adverse events like that. So we're going to do active pharmacovigilance. So that is a very good question. And then you ask how many vaccines are we looking at? We are looking at Sputnik V or 5 vaccine from Russia. They sent us the dose there, we reviewed it and sent them the feedback, meaning things that they need to address. We're waiting for them to address such the compliance directives. So it will depend on how quickly they respond to us. We have also looked at Covaxin, which is from India, from Bharat Biotech company. They don't have complete data, but we are waiting. They don't have complete phase 3 clinical trial, and we are waiting for them.
Thank you so much. MOJISOLA Adeyeye is the Director General of Nafdac. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's hope that things turn out well for this particular vaccine for Nigerians.